This is going out for public bid where the governing body is obligated to choose the lowest responsible bidder on a project. And that doesn't trigger any pay-to-play limitations or restrictions outside of what already exists with ELAC. And that way you are comparing, as you would for your home, okay, what are the bids that you've gotten on this job that you need to get done, and except that we're obligated to take the lowest responsible one. And that, most of the time it's good. Sometimes, you know, there is that lowest bidder for whom there is a bad reputation, but no legal actions that you can apply that would prevent you from choosing them. But it does help. It really does.
Doesn't that tend to get into the low bid that starts multiplying after the bid's gotten because they need a little money for the
Change orders on there, but that's restricted to
Sure, I have a
10%
contract. I
of the
can contractor right now in county government. I can tell you who plays that game. I'd like to debar that. I've had this conversation
Yeah.
publicly with the freeholders, and we'll agree. We'd like to debar that contractor from bidding on our contracts. Right now, the way state law exists, and I'm not throwing blame at Senator Weinberg. It's there. It's been there for a long, long time. Is that, yeah, yes, you have to. It needs to be fixed that the county could also debar somebody, because I don't believe that it's lowest responsive and responsible. And I don't think that person who submits all those change orders and comes in with a low number is being responsible anymore. But we can't debar
10%
10%.
of the contract.
Yeah.
So they
But that's
can't
very
get
often
all
the
But so-
differential between the lowest and the next lowest is
Yeah,
less than that 10%.
the one that I'm talking about is
a
on
limit on the percentage on change orders.
Yes, there is.
Right.
There is, but the one I'm talking about was originally a $20 million contract, so you're talking about $2 million, which
Yeah.
knocked out all the other really competitive bidders who would have done it maybe for 21, and this bidder ends up at 22, and is a problem too.
So they're either incompetent or they're playing some kind of game.
They're doing both.
Both.
Yeah.
They're doing both. This
But
particular bidder
that
is
should be
doing
a
both.
reason
But
to
after a certain
eliminate
period of time, can't you say, hey, you've got history? And
Yes, approvable history.
You can under
and-
state law, you can't do it locally. right
Can't
now.
do it locally
And
by the
that's-
county, under state
even
law.
with your own records of
Yeah,
Right.
And
and I have another county administrator.
Wait a minute.
Jason
You're
County.
saying that you can't,
Preclude them
preclude
from
them
getting the
From
contract.
getting it if they come in the
Division of
lowest.
Local Governments Finance takes the
well,
position.
suppose
we
you
can't.
wrote into your specifications if the last three
No change orders.
contracts exceeded X in change orders.
We are told by the former head of Division of Local Government Services, Mark Pfeiffer, that we would be violating the local public bidding laws.
Until
We
the
do
state
have-
law gets changed.
Our people play
This is a
law.
different topic for
Until
Loretta.
state
She's already got
law.
2 more changes to make.
I was going to suggest
Giving her more
actually,
room. Send it up.
we indicated to most of you that we were going to be trying to finish up by 9:15. And why don't we take another 7 minutes, and Madam Moderator, why don't you use those 7 minutes in whatever way you think is most effective for us.
You know, my problem is that all of these issues are interrelated. The transparency, ELAC, the whole issue about the corruption that we have seen as Bridgegate unfolds, and it covers police, state government, local government. I mean, it's all the pieces are there. And how we get our arms around this in New Jersey is not going to be a simple 1, 2, 3, 4 issue, but it's, to me anyway, it's all about exposure and transparency. Because if it's out there, people tend to be a little bit more careful. And the Port Authority is a classic example. It's another whole bureaucracy that we have to figure out how to get our arms around, because nobody's in charge of them, including their own commissioners. Absolutely no one is in charge, because you need identical laws passed in 2 states. And with Senator Bob Gordon and my colleagues, Assemblywoman Huddle and Johnson, were trying to get into some legislation there. But this is a big, big issue. Bergen County should lead the way. I mean, it's something like what you just pointed out to me about the public bidding law that I was unaware of. I'd certainly
No, we will be
like
in touch
to-
with you. It's on our
to know more
list
about
if
it,
the
but
snow ever stops falling.
there are very specific state laws on this, so-called inadvertent contributions. But none of this can be enforced if we don't start out with the base and elec. You're never going to find out.
So actually,
So
one of
that's
the
the
things that we
first
can
step.
do is to tell you how important it is that the ELEC computers be updated and current.
Right,
And
and
that's
I-
something I think that we
I
can
think
do
a
by
resolution
Thank you
from
for
the
that
Board of Freeholders, which goes to the governor, the treasurer, and then to the Bergen County delegation. You've got two people who represent Bergen, who chair the budget committees, Paul Sarlo in the Senate from South Bergen, and Gary Scher, who's from Passaic, but represents some Bergen County towns. He chairs the budget committee in the assembly. So it should go to the budget chairs, the treasurer, the governor's office, and the rest of the delegation.
And probably the majority leader as well. I'd like to say that this has been a really quite extraordinary evening. I think there's some major convergence. The places where there's difference, I think, are not irreconcilable. I hope that you folks go ahead and then convert this discussion into something where the freeholders and the county executive deliver to the senator and to the whole legislature what it is that needs to be done in order to make your own efforts more effective. And many of us are going to try to be with you on Wednesday to see you actually take the next step. And I'd like to ask those of us who have participated tonight to thank this panel for coming out on an extraordinary night.
Yes,
Thanks so much. I would say one other thing. This idea that the NAACP head from Bergen County has of thinking about districts is actually a fascinating idea, and we're likely to try to figure out what the costs and benefits of that are.
Doesn't that pit one town against another though?
Doesn't that what, I'm sorry?
Doesn't that pit one district against another?
No.
no, makes a representative.
What would happen?
All of that needs discussion. We're not going to discuss it tonight, but it is something well worth in this debate. It's very fascinated by that idea. Thanks a lot, folks, and thank you for coming. Thank you.
On Wednesday.